And we are live here, episode 13 of the Threewind podcast. I'm so ecstatic to join you today with Chance, who is becoming just as much a regular as literally anyone else on this podcast. I can't thank him enough for showing up every single week.
Glad to be back.
He's truly the utility guy here. Couldn't do it without him. I feel like it's only right to explain why Charlie isn't here because it's funny. And Charlie is not like Eston, where Charlie's here. I think Charlie's only missed when I've asked Charlie to come in. I don't think he's ever, other than maybe one time, said he couldn't come. So Charlie. So I feel like it's right for me to tell you why Charlie had to miss today. He was supposed to come up until 20 minutes or so, maybe not even 20 minutes, like right when we were supposed to get here to record this. And I texted him and said, "Where are you at?" He said, it's up in the air right now. Dad's really mad. The dog. He said, "I haven't done anything today, and now I'm trying to leave." And I was like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. If he's mad that you haven't done anything today, why is he getting mad that you're trying to do something? And then he dropped the bomb. And then he was like, and I was supposed to be watching the dog, and then the dog got 3 pork chops off the counter. Well, there it is. That's why Charlie isn't here. And I'll the first reason isn't a good reason in my opinion. The second reason may be
very valid,
especially if his dad had yet to eat pork chops, and those were like the last 3, and they were waiting for him. And the dog mauls them, devours down 3 pork chops. That's why Charlie isn't here. So according to Charlie's last known address to us, all the doors in his house have been locked, and he is not getting out. So that's the current Haps. Eston, the Eston Haps, the weekly Where's Eston, the WWE weekly Where's Eston. He's at work today, per usual on Sundays. I know it's starting to sound like my fault for planning this on Sunday every week, but it's kind of the only day where we can do it. And Eston has a weird work schedule, and I can't keep up with it. So if he works, he works. And at this point, he's missed like 6 straight. So, where's Eston? But I think that's all. I don't have a concrete winner of the Thanksgiving draft because only like 3 people voted. And I think Chris Waters in the lead, but I'm not going to confirm it yet because it's a very small sample size. So we'll wait till next week to confirm the Thanksgiving draft winner.
What did you post it on?
Just Facebook. Usually people comment more on Facebook, yeah. And then Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. You can vote on any of those platforms.
And that's at Threewind Sports?
Threewind Sports on literally everything. But we're getting back to sports, as it is in our title. We're getting back to sports this week. We'll have a draft at the end of this month.
A few weeks.
Let me think. So today is the 28th.
Yeah, 8th.
And we'll try to do the Christmas draft right before Christmas. So that'll probably be, we might have, I don't know if we'll have 2 or 3 more actual sports episodes before we have another draft for the Christmas draft. But we'll have some sports, to keep your seats warm when you're, cozying up, getting ready for a draft. Maybe this year instead of watching, the Christmas movies with your family or listening to Christmas music, you'll turn on the 3-1 podcast Christmas draft. Maybe you'll binge all 3 drafts and you'll start with the Halloween draft and you'll go to Thanksgiving and you'll finish it up with Christmas. And yeah, every year you'll have several more to add to your playlist.
There's nothing like arguing with your family on who won the 3-1 Christmas draft.
I mean, yeah, it's you could just sit there in silence and listen to music or watch a movie there's nothing you can argue about. Everyone loves arguing with their family on holidays.
Did you get any good arguments over Thanksgiving?
I didn't. My family's old. Not like to the age where they care about. They're like past the age where stuff matters anymore.
That's my least favorite type of old
politics. Politics has no bear on their life anymore.
just living in.
My granddad, he's 88, I think, and he isn't super mobile, to say the least. I mean, he walks around on a walker, and he just was sitting there in the living room, and he has this little exercise bike that he never uses because he's not very mobile. He looks at it, he says, You know what? I think it's about time I get on that bike. No, it's probably. I mean, no. We're about to eat. We're about to eat in 15 minutes to have our Thanksgiving dinner in about 15 minutes. What in your mind made you decide that today, right now, would be the perfect time to get on that bike? He stood up, got on that bike, and rode it for about 10 minutes. I'm not even joking. Bike probably has been ridden in a year.
That burned off some calories. What opened up the Thanksgiving dinner.
But that's kind of where they're at. So my family's not real argumentative because the people that I don't think I'd agree with on stuff don't do much opinion-based talking.
They just don't really care.
They eat and they sleep at this point.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. What about you? How was your Thanksgiving?
I had 2. They were all right. No arguments actually. That's not like we don't typically have arguments.
I've had arguments before at family holiday dinners.
I definitely have, but it's more on my other side of the family.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we don't disagree on everything, but it's a lot more. Like, there's a wide variety of
opinions on things.
Yeah.
Did you watch football the whole day?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
I forced my family to watch football. Usually our Thanksgiving TV, and this will tell you how old my family is. Our usual TV listing is the Macy's Day Parade for the first 5 hours.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then the dog show.
I like the dog show.
For the last 4 hours. And this year I was like, I got to watch these games for fantasy, and it's like kind of a job now for me. I kind of have to do this. I'm so happy to be here with you people, but I got to do this.
I'd rather watch the Lions.
And I really wanted the Lions to win, dude. I want them to win a game.
I don't know if it'll happen.
I think that was their best shot.
That just keeps getting predicted, and it's not going to happen.
I've predicted them to win the last 2 weeks, and they've blown it. I really thought they've
had every chance in the world to do it. Like, they've played every team close, but I don't think it'll happen.
No.
Steelers.
They should have beat the Steelers, man.
With Mason Rudolph, that should have been a W.
But yeah, we're here after Thanksgiving, and we're here to talk about some sports. We have a deep slate today, mainly because we haven't talked about sports in a little bit. So we have college basketball, college football, and the NFL. I think we're going to leave most of the NBA stuff out because we're in the doldrums of the NBA season where it really doesn't matter. Everyone kind of has the same record. None of the playoff stuff has been determined yet. None of the award races are really mattering yet. So the NBA is kind of boring right now. And as far as I go, I'm infuriated with the NBA on a daily basis because my team's so disappointing and they suck. And Chance just found an NBA team in the Thunder, and he doesn't really have to worry about them because he knew they would suck.
That's why I'm a fan of them.
So the NBA, we're going to not even really hit that. Other than I want to mention this. Did you hear about the Enes Kanter thing?
I did not.
He's changing his name to Enes Kanter Freedom.
What is up with NBA players and doing this? Like, keep your name. Like Meta World Peace.
So during the bubble, when they could wear anything on the back, any of their little political stuff on their back. Well, he had freedom on his back.
And he loved it.
And he must have really loved it.
Fell in love with it.
And now he's doing, all this stuff. He's, of course, anti-China, which I would support. And, brother, screw China. Screw John Cena.
Who does he even play for?
Celtics, I believe. No, he doesn't do a lot of playing.
It blows my mind that he's in the league still.
He's not horrible. He's like one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. He just, on offense, does nothing other than offensive rebound, and he's a liability on defense.
It's a real weird
thing
to be good at.
I know. He gets them offensive rebounds like hella.
It's like being the best inbound passer in the league.
Who like Jake Crowder, throwing that inbound lob to DeAndre Ayton in the playoffs last year. But I want to touch on probably the weakest category we have, and that's college basketball. I only have 2 topics. One's very short, and I don't even know if you saw it. You probably didn't. The Dayton buzzer beater over Kansas.
No.
You didn't see that? The dude, and I didn't catch his name. I mean, it's Dayton. The only name from Dayton I know is Obi Toppin from like 2 years ago. But
I didn't know he played there.
Yeah, Dayton. He's player of the year, I think.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And Dayton was like number 3 in the country just because of him. And they sucked in the tournament as to be expected. But Dayton gets Kansas is number 4 in the country. Dayton gets a last second buzzer beater that goes about 50 feet in the air. It's a mid-range shot that goes about 50 feet in the air and drops in, hits the rim about 5 times and drops in for the game. That's why college basketball is so good. Stuff like that happens. Stuff like that doesn't happen in the NBA. And then, of course, the big game in college basketball was the Duke versus Gonzaga. Did you watch any of that?
I was asleep for most of it. I was like keeping up with it on my phone when I woke up.
Yeah, so I went over to Charlie's actually to watch it with Charlie, who doesn't watch basketball, and Preston Shadowan, who hasn't been on the podcast but is a three-winder through and through.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Preston knew a little bit about the stuff, but Charlie knew nothing, and so Charlie, of course, is just asking questions the whole time. And
this number 5 guy's good.
Who's that lanky guy?
Him and number 5 look pretty good.
Dude, would they guard him? Dude, that guy is so skinny. How is he even out there?
How is he shooting?
Dude is 7 foot and like 20 pounds.
He's gotta suck. Who offered this kid?
This guy. And he was like, we had to keep telling him where he was on the floor. He was like, "Where's that Holmgren guy? Where's that skinny guy at?
Where's Homeless at?
And
where's Pablo at?"
He couldn't say the name. He couldn't say the Banchero. He would either say Paolo instead of Paolo, Paolo, or Banchero. He would not say Banchero. And he was asking questions the whole game. And of course, Preston knew who the guys were.
Yeah.
But like he doesn't have like a ton of knowledge on like the stuff that the intricacies. Of course, he's a Kentucky basketball fan and watches the game against Duke, so he kind of knows the guys on Duke, but not really the guys on Gonzaga. But he knows who they are, but he doesn't really know the systems and stuff like that. So his extent was, man, that dude Banchero's good. He said he's cold with it.
Timmy's gonna be an ish.
He said Timmy don't miss. Holmgren crossed up Steph Curry at a camp, and I was like, you know what, this is pretty deep. You know, he's reaching back.
That dude got the bag out.
This dude got the knowledge bag.
He's a learner.
Holmgren can shoot that three, dribble that ball, and score it and play defense. But Holmgren didn't play a lot of defense. Holmgren didn't look very good. It kind of came down, and I made a YouTube video about did you see I posted a YouTube video?
I saw you posted it.
Last night I recorded it at 1:30 in the morning and posted it at 2 in the morning. And talking about the Gonzaga Duke game, and I won't dive super deep into this because you can watch that video where I kind of talk for 15 minutes about a singular game. But Banchero comes out first half, looks like an NBA superstar, drops 20 points in like 10 minutes, looks great. And then he starts cramping again. This guy's been cramping in like every game. He did that against Kentucky. I don't know what his issue is.
He needs some mustard.
Needs to drink some more water. Guy's a D1 athlete and drinks sodas all day. I've never seen this before because Duke almost lost because of that. He comes out in the second half cramping and scores 1 point and can barely run around. He's a net negative out there because he's cramping all over the place.
I played baseball with a guy who he'd be standing out there in the field. He would like cramp up.
Do nothing and just start cramping.
He would just like start cramping up, and he'd pull out like mustard packs from his back pocket and just slurp them
I went
down.
to a soccer camp one time, and there was 2 guys in our room who were cramping so bad that they would go to the cafeteria at the college we were at for the camp and get like 100 packets of mustard and just put it in like a cup and just drink it. Dude, I wouldn't do that if I was cramping. I couldn't do that.
Is it the vinegar that helps?
Mustard helps. Pickle juice helps.
But there's like vinegar in there.
There's something in there that's fixing.
That's like the only common I can think of between the two.
I don't know, but it makes me not feel good. And they were guzzling that stuff.
I love mustard, but I couldn't.
No, I don't. I don't like mustard. I think I'd rather cramp than drink a mustard cup.
I've had like 4 cramps in my life, and they're not.
You've only had 4 cramps.
I don't cramp much,
dude. I don't cramp during the day or when I'm doing stuff, but at night,
every time
I'll wake up in the middle of the night and just my body will just start cramping.
It's a foot cramp usually.
It's like in my calf. A calf cramp is a murderer.
No, I was playing. This was 5-ish years ago. I was standing up playing. I don't know, probably like the show or something.
Yeah.
Get a crazy cramp in my back leg, and I just fall to the ground while I'm on the mic.
I do the thing where I can fit my whole fist in my mouth. And it's like one of my secret talents, my whole fist. I'm not gonna do it on the podcast. But I can do that. And sometimes my jaw, I'll do it, and my jaw will start cramping bad.
That's awful.
And like it's like, I have to weigh it. Do I look like I have a cool talent that no one else has, but I have to deal with jaw cramps, or I just don't do it, and it's my secret.
I wouldn't do it.
I'm like Batman. No one really knows.
Yeah, I don't have anything really like that, unfortunately. I'd be doing it all the time.
Well, every time. Well, I should never done it because Charlie knows I can do it, and we'll go and he'll like introduce me to somebody. And he'll be like, "This guy can put his whole fist in his mouth," and he'll be like, "Do it for him, do it." And I have to do it at that point. I can put it up or shut up. You know, I have to do it at that point. And then I do it, and then I'm like, because my jaw is cramping. I have a giant mouth though. That's why I can do it. I mean, it's massive. I have a set of wisdom teeth and more space for another one. That's how big my mouth is.
Is it a fist like this?
No, it's like this, like a punching fist in my mouth, whole thing, down to my wrist.
Oh, you're crazy. That's awful.
It's a beast. I'm a beast. My mouth is massive. You know, have you seen the world record for like the biggest mouth gape? And they put the like Coke can. I'm close to that.
And he's just like chewing on the Coke can.
It was like they open that hoe and they can put the whole Coke can between his top and bottom lip. I'm not that big, but it's close.
He just has a small child in his mouth.
Dude, well, we were at Charlie's house the other day, and I was like, I wonder if I could fit that little nutcracker in my mouth. The whole thing. It's like that big. I wonder if I can get that in there. I was like, I bet I could. But that's the gist of the Duke Gonzaga game right there. Is that I can fit my knuckle in my mouth. But Duke beats Gonzaga. Of course, Gonzaga was a team that was the only team that I thought could go undefeated this season. I don't think Duke can go undefeated. And so I think it's an open year for college basketball. You said you're happy with Arkansas right now in college basketball?
I'm happy with Arkansas in every sport. Really? I used to see comments on like Barstool and SE Barstool. I don't like those accounts like that.
Yeah.
And they were like, what school would you kick out of the SEC? And it was always us and Vandy, which threw me for a loop. If you were talking about football, I could see it last year.
Yeah.
But we're consistently a top 5 baseball school. This is going to sound odd, but we are the best track school of all time, and it's not even close. Yes.
It's not like a Texas and Baylor.
No, it's us, and it's not even close. We've won like 22 like national championships in track. And
that's such an odd state.
It's really odd. It's very odd. Our women's soccer team is ranked.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Our basketball team is ranked top 15 coming off an Elite 8 performance. We were ranked first in baseball the majority of the year. Ranked in football with a 9-4 record.
Right.
3 record. I don't know. I'm very happy with Arkansas, to say the least.
I'm happy with Kentucky. College basketball especially. Right now, I mean, I have no idea if they're good or not. Yeah. Because they've played nobody since they lost to Duke. But they only lost to Duke by 8. And Duke just beat Gonzaga by 3, which means Gonzaga's only 5 points better than us by using those logics.
Yeah.
So, we're only 5 points worse than the number 1 team. And
how many starters do you have returning from last year?
1.
So there you go.
But we have a ton of. This is the most. That's how funny it is about UK basketball and why I hate John Calipari so much. Team. Is that we have the oldest team we've had and it's probably his whole tenure, his whole 13 years, and we have 1 returning player, and it's because we got so many transfers.
Yeah,
and they're like 5th year, 4th year guys that have never played together. So it's basically freshmen that have experience with college basketball. Yeah. I'd much rather have transfers than freshmen. Yeah. Because at least they have that experience and once they get the chemistry, I expect them to be pretty good. But we don't play like another good team till like the end of December.
Yeah, there's a long.
We're gonna end up playing a good team and get mopped after starting the year against a good team, because we haven't played anybody.
Do you have a schedule up here?
No, but I knew. Well, we were supposed to play Ohio State on December 17th, and Ohio State sucks. They were originally 17th in the nation, and they've lost several games they should not have lost.
Michigan lost a weird one too. Who was it? We beat them. Arkansas beat them. I think it was Cincinnati, maybe. I think it was Cincinnati who Michigan lost to.
But I mean, I'll tell you the next time we play a ranked team. So we were supposed to play Ohio State on December 18th, who are no longer ranked. We don't play another ranked team as of today, like them being ranked today. I mean, one of these teams could jump into the rankings between now and then. We don't play another ranked team till January 15th.
That is a long time.
So we play several like big name teams, but they're not ranked teams. So Notre Dame, but they're not ranked. Yeah. Ohio State, but they're not ranked. Louisville, but they're not ranked. Missouri, they're not ranked. LSU, they're not ranked. Georgia, they're not ranked. Vanderbilt, they're not ranked. And then we play Tennessee on the 15th of January, and they're the 15th team right now. And then we start playing a couple ranked teams. We have Kansas and Auburn. Alabama, we have a really easy schedule. Like, really easy. We literally have one team on here that is ranked higher than us for the rest of the season, and it's Kansas, who just lost to Dayton.
Guess when Arkansas's first ranked game is against another ranked opponent?
When?
February 8th against Auburn.
Really? Yes. February 8th against Auburn, so we play Auburn on...
And then we have Alabama after that, and then Tennessee, Florida, y'all. Tennessee. We have 5 ranked games all year as of right now.
That's ridiculous.
Pretty easy.
Whereas Gonzaga's already beat two top 5 teams.
It's pretty wild.
And just barely lost to Duke, who's a top 5 team. So, I mean, they're playing these teams. Gonzaga could lose half of their games against these giant teams, and they're going to go into the tournament being the best team because they played a hard schedule, whereas Kentucky, teams like that are going to do nothing in the tournament because they're not used to playing consecutive games against hard teams, or they're used to having breaks and stuff like that. So I'm not looking forward to the tournament time after the schedule. And I'm a little ignorant. I don't know if the coach completely makes the schedule or if it's the athletic department and the coach. But I know in like high school sports, the coach makes everything. Yeah. So I would assume it's mostly John Calipari making the schedule. Yeah. He sucks. I hate John Calipari, dude. I don't care if we lose some games against good teams if we're playing some good teams.
I love Arkansas's coach though. That is one thing. Eric Musselman.
Oh yeah, I do.
I love him a lot.
He's a big Barstool guy.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a big Barstool guy.
He's real energetic.
I think the bread and butter this week though is college football.
A bunch of big games.
Especially because as much as at this point we're pretty confirmed, we're pretty sure that Georgia's going to win it all. The fight to get into the playoffs is just as interesting as it's ever been.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Of course, Michigan. It's rivalry week, so which I can't say the word rivalry. I throw a W in there. Rivalry.
That is a tough word.
I throw a W in
rivalry
in that hoe.
Toss a W in that hoe.
Toss a W up in there. Rivalry.
Rivalry.
I can't say it. I usually have pretty good. My vernacular is pretty good, but when it comes to words with too many R's in there, I get a little stumped, a little Wade Mammoth.
Rival.
But Michigan exposes Ohio State. I actually thought Ohio State was like the only other team before this game that wasn't a fraud. Yeah. They're a fraud.
They're fraud.
Ohio State's a fraud.
Michigan's still a fraud.
Is still a fraud because they lost to Michigan
State who got pummeled by Ohio State.
Destroyed by Ohio State. So, whoever won that game, the only team that could have come out that game on top was Ohio State, and they didn't. Because Michigan was going to be a fraud either way. I didn't care if Michigan won or lost. They're still a fraud. They're the second-ranked team in the country right now, and I think Kentucky can beat them on any given night. They're a fraud. Ohio State's a fraud. Auburn nearly upsets Alabama. They should have upset Alabama. They really choked. But I mean,
very hard.
But I'm not blaming Auburn. We weren't expecting Auburn to be in that situation. No. They weren't expecting to be in that situation. So I mean, we're looking at it. I'm looking at it from the fact that Auburn's not going into that. Auburn's not going to leave that game a loser, no matter how. No. So they can only leave a winner, and they did, in my opinion. And they showed that Alabama's a fraud. Alabama's a fraud.
I do have one thing to say about Alabama in general. I'm fairly certain me and you could go out there and play quarterback for Alabama, never playing football before in our lives. It's the easiest thing I've ever seen. As long as you can throw the ball 10 yards to a wide open receiver, you will thrive in the Bama system. I think you could.
When I throw the ball, it looks like it got shot in the midair.
I cannot throw football. I got way too much baseball in me. But I can get it 10 yards in the vicinity.
I can get the distance, but it might hit my guy like in the shins or like on top of his head. I don't think I'm ever throwing it in the right spot on his body. Of course, they can move around, but also the ball's going to be doing like twister in the air.
Ducks.
The amount of spiral on my ball is probably negative.
But going back to 2 years ago, I think two was starting 2 years ago, you had Alex Leatherwood, first round tackle. Mm-hmm. You have Najee Harris, first round running back. Maybe Josh Jacobs was still playing. Another first round running back. Jerry Jeudy, first round.
Yeah.
Henry Ruggs, first round.
Rip.
Yeah.
Free bro.
Devontae Smith, Heisman winner, first round. Jalen Waddle, first round.
Yeah, and the only player out of that, Henry Ruggs, is in jail. But the only player that you listed right there that's not still good is the quarterback. Like, Tua sucks.
Oh, Tua's bad.
Every other player you just listed is still very good.
Yeah.
Like, it shows you. Now, I'll give you this, and I know you like to hate on the guy. Mac Jones.
No, Mac Jones has been pretty good. He's been pretty good.
And he threw. I was watching some of the game. I didn't watch the whole game, but I was watching some of the game today, and he threw one touchdown pass.
That was a beautiful ball.
That I thought was a horrible throw when he first left his hand. It like floated and it was like going way away from everybody. I was like, no chance, no one's getting that. And it just stayed in the air for like 30 seconds. So like it was just kind of sitting there. And the guy just kept going and ran straight to it. I was like, "That's pretty."
If the DB would have turned around on that though, that would have been a pick, but he didn't though. So it was a good pass. He has shocked me quite a bit.
He's growing on you
a little bit.
He's growing on you.
Shocked me very much.
The Patriots are legit, and I thought they were going to be horrible this season.
I don't know.
They're not legit. Like I think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they're legit in the fact that they're way better.
But way better. Yeah, I was thinking like maybe not bottom of the division, but
dude, I was thinking. I was not thinking this much over 500.
No, definitely. I thought the Bills would run away with it.
Well, yeah, but the Bills are frauds.
Kind of.
The Bills are frauds, and
they're the week-to-week fraud. It's kind of
they have no chance of winning the Super Bowl simply because I don't trust them to win that many consecutive games.
I don't trust Josh Allen to be consistent enough to do it.
I'm not really actually that worried about Josh Allen.
And y'all don't have a run game to fall back on, even if he is bad.
We don't have a running game
at all.
And I'm concerned with. I mean, we let the freaking Colt. I mean, where's our defense at?
Oh yeah,
and Colts dropped.
Y'all have spent a lot of picks on D-line too. First round and second round pick both on D-linemen this year.
So I mean, I don't trust it at all. I still think the Titans are good. I think it's simply they're simply a one-man team.
Oh,
and when they have,
I don't even think it's just that. I think it's that they're missing everybody. Like they don't have any weapons right now. That team is bare.
I knew they were gonna lose to the Patriots today, but I do think when they get their guys back, they're gonna be legitimate contenders, which is weird for the Titans because they're the Titans. But I actually like the Titans. I like how we somehow managed to get to the NFL. We still got 2 more games in college football to talk about.
All right, back to football.
2 more games that I have listed games, and then I want to talk about the playoff look at the playoffs. Kentucky destroys Louisville, and I don't even think there's a ton to talk about here, other than the fact that before the game started, you said Kentucky's going to lose 7.
That was more of a joke than anything. I'm not a huge Kentucky supporter.
No.
Will Levis balled out though.
Bro
he is fast. He's very fast.
Running backs.
Yeah,
he's the running back and the quarterback.
Pretty impressive.
And you know how I knew we were going to win that game?
How?
Because for the last week, Will Levis has been on Twitter and has been all of his L's in every tweet and his name have been upside down L's.
That's hilarious. That's going to take way too much time.
You can't do that for a week and lose.
And lose? Oh, definitely not.
Now, Louisville came into that game as the betting favorite. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
That Louisville was the betting favorite? Yeah. That shouldn't have ever been
happened.
And I was pretty confident going into that game. And when I saw that they were the betting favorite, I was like, are you sure?
Go ahead and hammer Kentucky.
You sure? Because I don't think so. Even if you don't think this is going to be a blowout win for Kentucky, you think Kentucky's going to be the favorite to lose? I don't think so at all.
It had to have been like 2 points.
It was 3, I think.
Really?
And
yeah, that's a little bit more than I would have figured.
And but Will Levis goes out there and rushes for 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns with 1 pick, maybe. I don't know if he threw for touchdowns.
Dude, I don't. I know he rushed for 4 because the third one he said 1, 2, 3, and on the fourth one he said 1, 2, 3, 4 L down.
The first one, whenever he put the L up or whatever, or did something like in front of the cheerleaders, the cheerleader threw up an L to him, and I thought it was pretty funny.
But no, that game was entertaining because of obviously it's rivalry week, and even the teams that suck when they play each other, it's kind of fun to watch because it's a rivalry. But that game was fun to watch because of the circumstances of that situation where the quarterback kind of just played every position. And then I didn't watch this game. I watched the very tail end of it, but I didn't really watch this game. I just thought it was an interesting thing that Oklahoma State beats Oklahoma to jump into the top 5 and therefore jumping into the conversation for the playoffs.
How many losses they have? 1?
Oklahoma State, I think, has 1 loss. I can look.
With a better win than Oklahoma would have, and Oklahoma has 2 losses now.
But Oklahoma's not getting it. Oklahoma's not getting it, and I don't think they have any chance to get it.
I think if they would have maybe had 1 loss, it would have just been to them. But yeah, Oklahoma didn't have any shot.
And I'll look. Oklahoma. Here is the look at the playoffs, right? So Georgia's a lock.
Georgia's
the only lock.
Okay, so are we saying that Bama loses to Georgia in the SEC championship?
Next week, Bama's gonna lose to Georgia.
Okay,
which
so that's
means
2 loss Bama. I don't know. Do you
They're
think
out.
2 Do you
They're
think
4 right now?
But do you think undefeated Cincinnati gets in over 2 loss Bama?
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
I think it's close.
Yeah.
Even
I think undefeated Cincinnati gets in before
They
2
should.
loss Bama.
I definitely think they should. There's no reason that Cincy
yeah.
shouldn't be in over anybody besides Georgia. They should be the 2 seed.
Oh,
I think.
I know they're getting totally schmucked by
Yes,
the
they have.
committee.
They have a better win than anybody with no ranked losses.
Right.
They beat who was it? Notre Dame, who was a top 10 team at the
Yeah,
time.
and which is stupid, but they beat Notre Dame, and yet Notre Dame is still supposed to somehow might get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
No, you have it here. A team that's undefeated who beat the team that is the only team that's trying to keep them out of the playoffs. They're getting in. I was watching an analyst, and I can't remember who it was, said they think their 4 is going to be Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State.
I can see that. That one would be the most realistic.
That would be a crazy 4.
The one thing that people say about Cincinnati is that they play close games. If you're gonna blame Cincinnati for playing close games to unranked teams,
you can't use that anymore now that the Alabama Auburn game happened.
Yes, and Alabama has lost to an unranked team, so there's no way, there's no logical reason besides views to not let Cincinnati in.
Yeah, and it's just the name Alabama.
Yes.
What if they just threw Clemson in there? And LSU. They just, back good old time's sake, Georgia, LSU, Clemson, and Alabama, just for good old time's sake. No one wants to see Michigan and Oklahoma State and Cincinnati in there. Just throw LSU, Clemson, and Alabama in there. Everyone knows Georgia's going to win anyway. Let's get the big
Realistically,
names.
it should be. I think Ole Miss is winning the SEC West. It should be Bama is. It should be Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Cincinnati.
Okay.
Or no, Michigan. Cincy or Michigan's tough.
I think my 4, as of today, if it goes how I think it's going to go next week and Alabama loses to Georgia, I think it's pretty fair to say Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, even though I think the committee does not want to do that. The committee would much rather have Notre Dame or Alabama in there.
Over Cincinnati. Yeah, I think I'd have to go.
Or over Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go with Georgia, Michigan, Cincy, and then Oklahoma State probably.
That would be the righteous
ideal 4. Yeah, they're the most deserving.
Even though, and I don't think I can call Oklahoma State frauds because I haven't been keeping up with them. They kind of snuck up on me. But I can call Michigan a fraud.
Oh, Michigan is a fraud.
And
I mean, Cincinnati's fraudulent too.
But it's hard to call. You can't really call Cincinnati a fraud.
Who cares? Like, let them in. Yeah.
They're undefeated. You can't call them a fraud. And of course, Georgia's a lock no matter what. They could lose next week and they'll be in. It doesn't really matter.
This is where it gets interesting. If Bama beats Georgia, does Bama get in?
I think they're both in.
I think they get over Cincinnati. I think one loss Bama gets in.
Or they're in over Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
If Cincinnati remains undefeated.
I don't know.
I think.
Well, Cincinnati could very well lose to Houston next week. It wouldn't shock me.
For the hypothetical, let's just say Cincinnati remains
wins.
undefeated. I think in Alabama beats Georgia, I think it would be Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma State would get hit.
I think that would make the most sense. Because then Alabama would have the best
I don't see a world where an undefeated Cincinnati, at this point, after Alabama does what they did last week, doesn't make it in.
Yeah.
But the committee might not let them in. I mean, it is Cincinnati. But at the same time, I think the only right thing would be for them to get in.
There's no reason they shouldn't. Besides views and money, would be the only reason.
Which is very liable to happen. I think Alabama not making it is the worst nightmare for anyone in the making
for sure.
Money.
It would be awful
TV,
for everybody, but
college football. The big football and big TV need Alabama in that playoff.
Yeah, it'd be bad for them and like Bama fans, but everybody else would just be thrilled.
Oh no,
I'd love it. Me too.
I would love Georgia, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, Michigan, and is really anybody but Alabama to make it.
I'm so glad it's not just like Ohio State, Clemson, Bama. Then you're random for like Notre Dame last year.
Ohio State so screwed themselves. They had it in the bag. They had it in the bag.
Shouldn't have been nothing. They just had to beat Iowa next week.
They lose to a Michigan team who loses to a team that they absolutely destroyed. They destroyed Michigan State. Yeah. and Michigan State beat Michigan, and then Michigan destroys Ohio State, and it just doesn't make any sense. And it's more so like that in baseball, but football's kind of similar, where I don't like stuff like that happening. Like I get the randomness is kind of cool sometimes, but at the same time, it kind of makes me mad.
Yeah,
I'm like, can you just win your games you're supposed to win? Like if the game's supposed to be close, okay. Then you could lose.
You gotta toss
but
it
could you please just win the games you're supposed to win? And Utah Jazz are having trouble. I don't want to talk about NBA. Utah Jazz are struggling to lose to the freaking Pelicans. Win the game you're supposed to win. You pieces of garbage. Not scoring 100 points against the freaking Pelicans. And then finally, I want to talk about the NFL, and we have some frauds here too.
Oh, there's a bunch. There's more frauds in the NFL.
I have more frauds than I have listed, but I listed a big 4 frauds. The big faux frauds I have listed. But the Thanksgiving games, first off, Detroit should have beat the Bears. But, I mean, and at this point, anytime Detroit steps on the field, they suck. And the only reason they're playing is because they've been doing it for 100 years. It's just pointless at this point. But and then who was on right after that? I can't even remember.
Cowboys, Raiders.
Another
boring game.
Cowboys are frauds.
Oh, yeah.
Cowboys are
they
frauds.
Are frauds.
Listen.
Well, they're also injured.
Yeah, but if Cowboys aren't scoring 80 points, they're not winning. Their defense is bad now. Their defense is so bad. Their offense is still pretty good in that game.
Yeah, I mean, Dak's very good. But
I mean, their offense is going to give you big numbers, but, I mean, they're getting stomped on by a Raiders team that isn't
bad
great.
too.
I mean, so
they're missing some Trayvon Diggs picks that he hasn't been getting here recently.
The Raiders are without Henry Ruggs. They're winning. They're dropping 36.
I don't know how they win their games. It blows my mind. Like you look at the roster and it looks like they should be a bottom 5
about the
team.
Raiders that you don't see with every team. The players on that team trust Derek Carr with their lives,
which is a bold take.
But they love their quarterback, and they would kill somebody.
And I hate their quarterback.
You can tell when you watch them play that they are live and die for their quarterback, Derek Carr, which is an odd choice.
Their roster is very shallow, looking at it on paper, but they win games somehow.
I think their chemistry is just.
I
incredible.
don't. I think it's awful.
Really?
Their chemistry's got to be bad.
No, I don't think their chemistry's great.
If you look at all of the issues they've had, there's no way that's functioning.
Through thick and thin. Did you see what Derek Carr said when Henry Ruggs got arrested?
Yeah.
Said if he needs me, I'm here for him.
They had a real rough stretch. What was his name? He was a linebacker or something for him. He was same draft class as Henry Ruggs. Got arrested for beating his girlfriend. Their coach Gruen got kicked out for slurs.
Listen. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. At this point, I mean, not really. I mean, I think this stuff is the ones that are remaining, the ones that aren't getting arrested and kicked and banned. I think they're growing together stronger. Yeah. I think that's what happened.
I hate the Raiders, so I don't like to say too many nice things about them.
But I think this team might be. They're the kind of team that they all hang out together, go to each other's house.
Yeah, they go to their house and just do drugs. No.
No, Derek Carr. You don't think Carr's gonna let his boys?
They have
do
3 ex-drug addicts on their team.
But Carr's keeping them together. He's got them in rehab. Carr, if they need him, Carr is there for them.
He needed Darren Waller and Max Crosby bad.
He needed them bad, and he was there for him, and they were there for him, and that's what is so great about the Raiders.
I think I've said this quote on a podcast before, but not all Raiders fans are bad people, but all bad people are Raiders fans.
That's all. I like this quote a little bit better. That you don't have to be an athlete to be great.
Yeah,
that's
very true.
Quotes.
Yeah, because
you have guys out there that aren't athletes.
Like the announcers, you got Chris Collinworth and Al Michaels. Well, Tony Romo, not really.
Everything is going Raiders.
Yeah,
everything. I mean, because you don't have to be an athlete to be great.
I heard another good one. It's something about money is the root of all evil. Which, if you come down to it, then
I mean, they're not paying Derek Carr crazy, are they?
He's probably got a little hefty contract.
Money is the root of all evil. Derek Carr knows it.
He probably took a team friendly deal.
Probably just make sure the team stays on top. He made sure
so he could feel John Gruden with his.
He made sure to remind him money's the root of all evil, and that he's cherishing every day.
You're just trying to have fun at the Y and stuff.
That's the Raiders are the kind of team to go to the Y together and have fun.
Yeah, they gotta have fun at the Y every once in a while.
And then the Bills and the Saints were the final Thanksgiving game. Both teams frauds. Both teams frauds.
I don't know if I could consider the Saints
frauds.
They got Trevor Siemian as their QB.
Everybody, they have the fourth Manning brother as their QB, and everybody, they're everyone's little favorite little brother. The Saints are these days. That Jameis Winston's hilarious and everyone loves him. he tears his ACL, then he's hitting the Dougie in the locker room after tearing his ACL, and everyone just loves him. But at the end of the day, they're frauds.
They're bad.
And
they're missing a Michael Thomas hard.
And, hey, I think Taysom Hill's the worst player in the history of the NFL.
I don't get.
You know why? You know why he's the worst player? Because he's not the worst player, but he's the only player in NFL history to be somehow the worst on his team at 4 different positions. He's the worst quarterback on his team. He's the worst tight end on his team. He's the worst receiver and the worst running back on his team.
And he is getting paid a lot.
He's the worst player on 4 positions on one team. That has to put him in the conversation for worst player ever.
He's a cool gadget guy, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of a guy to confuse the defense out there. Trick play.
What's this guy about to do?
Trick play kind of guy where they put 2 quarterbacks out there and they're like, are they? What are they doing?
He's like a decoy. He's like a
or like on a trick play whenever they put him out there as like a blocker, tight end, and he just randomly throws it and it intercepts it real quick.
They're like
there's a quick int out there.
It's kind of something to make the middle linebacker think. This guy will throw it about an 80-yard touchdown once a year, so just watch him. Watch out for that.
Hey guys, I get we think this is about to be a punt, but old four position over here
What's his number?
Is the first time he's touched the field this quarter. They're up to something. They're up to something.
Sean Payton's got something planned over there. He's got his notebook out.
Why would they put him out here right now? He hasn't touched the field in 2 games. What's he doing? It's even funnier when he's out there and he hasn't touched the field in 20 minutes and he doesn't. And it's not a trick play. He's just out there.
I need to look up his contract.
They should put him on a minimum just to be a confusing guy.
Well, they did not put him on.
No, I know, but when he gets out of this contract and he's on free agency again, I'd sign him as just a defense confuser. Never give him the ball. Never let him touch the ball, but just put him out there just to confuse the defense. This guy is gonna either run it, catch it, or throw it, or none. But he can do any of them.
Taysom Hill signed a unique 4-year hybrid type of contract that could be worth anywhere between $40 million and $95 million.
He'd be nasty on fantasy if he wasn't listed as a quarterback.
Oh, for sure. And if he got regular snaps,
if he was listed as a
tight end,
as a tight end or a running back or a receiver,
and he would just throw it about 3 times a game, he'd be insane.
He'd be good on fantasy. Just because a tight end.
Tight end's weak, and then you're getting passing
11
touchdowns.
points are happening. That's what I'm saying. He would be if he wasn't listed. He's horrible as a quarterback on fantasy.
Oh yeah.
But if he was listed as anything else, any of his other 4 possessions, then he would be very good. He'd be the first overall pick. Because he's a guy that might drop 80 one night.
He's liable to drop 70 every week.
He's dropping you negative points or 80 points any given week.
If you draft Taysom Hill, that's your only pick. You don't get to draft anybody else.
Is that 4 positions for you? Yeah. But I do have my fraud list here, and we've already mentioned one of them. No, we haven't. We haven't mentioned any of my fraud list here. We have declared a couple frauds, though. But the first fraud I have, humongous fraud, Steelers.
Steelers suck.
They're so fraud.
I cannot believe Big Ben is still their quarterback. It blows my mind. I don't.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, I hate the Steelers more than almost anything.
I don't care for the Steelers either, but just having that guy, just knowing that you're never going to win with him there and just keeping him around because you got to is funny to me.
I don't think there's any starting quarterback I'd take above him currently. You mean
below him?
Yeah. I'm taking every starting quarterback currently over him, and probably a few backups. Like I'm taking Mitch Trubisky over him in a heartbeat.
Let me think. Let me ponder to think if there's one.
No, I'm not Zach Wilson. I'm taking him in a heartbeat too.
Mike White.
No.
Joe Flacco.
Probably.
Maybe.
No, maybe it'd be close.
Flacco is always liable to just randomly turn into a Super Bowl quarterback at any given moment. I'm telling you, if the Jets were playing Flacco every game, they'd have a couple more wins this season, and I guarantee.
So when Darnold was playing on the Jets, he would just do once a
blue
moon would make the craziest throw you've ever seen. And you're there's a sliver of potential there. Mm-hmm. Whenever they put Flacco in and Flacco outperformed him, that's when I lost all hope. I don't think I'd take Flacco over Big Ben though.
Yeah. Darnold over Big Ben.
I'd take Darnold. I'd take Cam. I don't know.
I would take Cam how he's been playing. Cam just came back and was like, "Screw it, I'm still good at the sport."
Cam played pretty bad today though.
Yeah, they got absolutely
mollywopped
today.
But
I mean, you can't expect the most out of him. He hasn't played all season. He
forever.
drops 2 good weeks. I mean, he's not gonna have a great week every week.
Cam still had some.
And he's
some
on
the tank.
and he's on the Panthers. To be fair.
Yeah.
McCaffrey's still hurt. I mean, so.
Yeah. I still thought Cam had some stuff in him. He was probably in the worst situation not about the worst,
it's
but
the Panthers.
he had no
At
receivers
the end of
with the Patriots at all.
Yeah. Well, you would think, and then Mac Jones walks in there, and they're
Yeah,
all of a sudden a great team.
To be fair, he did spend the most money in free agency the year that they drafted Mac Jones.
Hey, winner's gonna win.
That is true. Mac Jones seems to be a winner.
The next fraud, and I am ecstatic to say this because you know how much I hate Philly and everybody there. The Eagles
suck.
are frauds. Fraud. I hate them.
Also the Giants today. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I had the Eagles winning that game. Oh, dude. I might be the worst. I'm not the worst sports picker ever because usually every week I come out with an above 500 sports pick record. However, I pick against the Eagles every single week because I hate Philadelphia. This week I decided to pick the Eagles.
I can't believe you
did
that.
And then the Giants win. Well, I was like, the Giants are very bad.
Yeah.
And the Eagles had a good week last week. And I was like, if they don't even have to play nearly as good as they did last week, and they'll still beat the Giants.
This is rough
Nope.
for the Jalen Hurts QB1 in fantasy thing.
Oh yeah, I was playing a Jalen Hurts QB1 guy today.
It's ridiculous that he gets that many fantasy points because he never does that good in the game.
6.5 points today. So yeah,
He'll
the
throw
Eagles are frauds.
1 touchdown, 189 yards, 60 rushing yards with 20 points. I just don't know where they come
the team
from.
Still sucks.
Yeah.
And then the Chargers are frauds. Sadly.
No, not sadly.
I like the Chargers, and I really like Justin Herbert.
I have a very I have a soft spot for the Chargers, but I can't.
Yeah, that's how I am
because they're in my division.
I have a soft spot for them, and I really like Justin Herbert.
Their run defense is just too bad. They're thin in the second.
They started the season off good, and people were thinking they were legit at the beginning. They're just not.
No,
they're just not. Justin Herbert is.
Justin Herbert is very good.
He's very good, and he's very fun to root for. But the team, they're just frauds.
And they're about a Joey Bosa or Derwin James injury away from being probably the bottom of that division. Yeah. Lost to the Broncos today, too.
And then the biggest fraud, maybe in the whole league, is the Rams. I've declared them a fraud the last couple of weeks.
So. They have played bad.
They came into the season people thinking they were going to win the Super Bowl. People were saying they were going to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
they're not winning.
Stafford's kind of inconsistent.
They're not winning a Super Bowl. Sorry. They started the season off great. The first several weeks were very good.
It's really since they've got Von Miller.
They have every name they need.
There's no soft spot on that team.
There isn't.
It's
Stafford
the
most
Stafford
is supposed to be great, and he started off the season very good. Cooper Kupp has been the best wide receiver in the league this year. Aaron Donald, best
defensive player
of all time.
Yeah. Even
though he got absolutely alphaed by A.J. Dillon today, which was hilarious to watch.
I didn't watch that.
Oh my God. A.J. Dillon runs straight to Donald. Donald grabs him. Well, I'm thinking A.J. Dillon's about to get flat. He runs straight into him and keeps going, keeps moving. And I'm like, what the? And then 3 more Rams jump on top of Dillon, and he stays on his feet. And then he comes out and starts screaming. And I'm like, this dude's legit.
He's like that.
He's staying. I don't care if Aaron Jones comes back fully healthy. This guy's staying in. He's getting touches. Those are the only frauds I listed. Can you think of any more frauds? I mean, I already said the Bills are frauds, and that's coming from a Bills fan.
Frauds.
Packers are not frauds.
Packers are good.
I was on the
sadly too.
I don't care if the Bucks lost every game this season. They're not frauds because they're going to come into the playoffs and look like the best team in the league randomly.
My deal with
the Browns are frauds.
Yeah, my deal with Tom Brady teams is I'm just gonna let that run its course. I don't talk about them. I let that do its thing.
The Ravens are frauds.
The Ravens have no help. They have one player.
Screw the Ravens. I hate Baltimore too.
I like the Ravens. I like Lamar a lot.
I don't like Lamar. He went to Louisville.
I don't have any issue with Louisville.
I hate Louisville.
I like Lamar quite a bit.
And there's one Ravens fan on TikTok named Wee Hoopin.
I know.
Who's the most? I know he's doing it. I know he's doing it on purpose, but it just sucks.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It doesn't entertain me at all.
Me either.
It might be some people's cup of tea. He has like 500,000 followers. I'd love to have 500,000 followers, but it gets on my nerves. It makes me not like the Ravens.
Yeah, he does.
And I know he's doing it on purpose. It's not. That's not a real thing people do. He does crack me up sometimes, but for the most part, I'm like, would this guy just shut up?
Maybe the Fraud Bowl tonight. Maybe the Fraud Bowl is tonight.
Browns versus Ravens.
That might be the Fraud Bowl of this week.
But I think both teams come out as frauds no matter how it ends.
Unless one team just kills them.
Unless no, I think the Browns.
The Browns are
yeah. I think the Ravens have to win by like 50 for me to be like, maybe they're not frauds. I think if the Browns win,
they're still the one seed in the AFC right now.
It's just a horrible division. It just is.
Kind of.
It just
very
is.
weird.
The Ravens have been frauds all year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of any more. 49ers are not. I was proud of them today. Came out and looked pretty good. Packers are not frauds. Already said that.
I want the Vikings to be good, but I just don't know if they are.
I think they frauded it up a little today.
Yeah.
I thought they were. Well, they were kind of weak all year, and then they've had a couple good weeks, and I was like, maybe they're back.
Very weird team.
They've been very disappointing.
I saw something on TikTok that a Kirk Cousins team can't fall too far away from 500 or the earth like falls out of whack. So that's what they're doing right now.
And I don't know. The Patriots are not frauds. The Patriots anything but frauds at this point. Yeah. I don't think you can call the Titans frauds because their last several weeks have been destroyed by injury.
Yeah.
Don't know. You can't call the teams that are horrible frauds.
No.
So the Jaguars are not. The Texans are not. The Falcons are not. The Dolphins maybe a little bit, but again they're horrible already.
They got on a 4-game win streak right now.
Yeah, but
they're getting hot.
Okay, then they're frauds then. If they didn't go on that win streak, they wouldn't be frauds, and they would just be accepted.
They're crazy fraudulent now.
Them going on the win streak is fraudulent.
Yeah. Y'all aren't good.
No. And I had another one in my head when you said that, and I forgot who I was thinking.
There's a bunch of NFC frauds. Like, the bottom of the NFC is awful. Like, there's a team.
The Broncos are frauds. But, I mean, no one expected anything from the Broncos, to be fair.
I thought the Broncos would be all right. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They might have the best secondary in the league. Their offense is just not good. Teddy ain't going to do anything.
No, and Drew Lock is horrible. That's a guy I'm not taking over Big Ben. That's for sure. Drew Lock's horrible.
Drew Lock isn't good.
Any more? Seahawks are frauds. But, again, they're injury bound.
I don't think they'll make the playoffs this
year.
And then Russ will be shipped away.
Bye-bye. Where do you think he'll go? The Giants?
Yeah.
Dude,
they got 2 firsts this year and a first next year.
I think they're sticking with their guy.
Daniel Jones.
I think they're sticking with Big Danny.
That'd be an awful decision. It
wouldn't
surprise me if they did it.
I would think it'd be an awful decision too, but it'd be a Giants decision.
Yeah.
It'd be a Giants decision through and through.
That's a non-serious organization.
All right. Is that all the frauds we can think of?
Yeah.
I think so. And if we're missing any teams that you think are frauds, go and drop it in the comments below, because I love calling teams.
Maybe
frauds.
The Chiefs are a little bit frauds, kind of.
The Chiefs are frauds. I'm glad
of.
you didn't have to mention that. You didn't have to mention that because they just got put on the frauds list this year. They've started to make up a little bit for it, but at the same time, I don't trust them.
I don't have faith in them.
I don't trust them. So they're frauds. I don't trust them.
Our defense looked really good last
That's the main thing about them is that obviously we know they can be great. I don't trust them.
Yeah.
I don't trust them. I think that's all the frauds. I think that's all we got. We got a pretty good thick podcast out of this for two guys
chatting it up,
chatting on a couch 3 feet apart because we're not gay.
I feel like I've been out of the frame most of the time.
You have been, but that's the. I was watching. There was a Barstool thing today, and I was watching it where it was like the beauty of Barstool is that we do everything in one take. Beauty of Threewind is I'm not editing anything ever. Not paying for editing software. I went on a college visit and they had people there that were like, because I want to go into journalism, and they were like, we're starting a podcast, and I was like, oh, I have a podcast, and they were like talking to me about it. They were like, what editing software do you use? And I just looked at it.
What you mean, bro?
It's like editing software.
What you talking about editing?
I don't make any money off of this. I'm not paying $18 a month for editing software. I'm just not. So we go with the flow, and if someone were to get on here and say a racial slur, we just have to swallow it. If we got somebody on here that like Wade Mammoth and he just dropped a racial slur of some sort, I would just have to grit my teeth and swallow it and just kind of tell them to leave.
Especially if we were more than like 5 minutes in, we can't restart.
No, if we're double digits in, We're locked in for the name. It don't matter what is said. It doesn't matter if we run out of stuff to talk about.
I would have to hurry up and catch him with a mouth beep. A beep! Like as he was saying it.
We're real-time editors. Real-time editors. If someone were to drop a racial slur, I'd have to drop them with a loud beep. Or like a bruh.
Yeah. Bruh.
Like a bruh.
I'd get real close to the mic and just breathe in it.
Or have Charlie just swallow the mic like he does sometimes.
Yeah,
but I think that's all we got. And I'm so glad Chance is out of the frame. That's my favorite.
God dang.
That is the best part of this whole episode. I'm glad we got this out. Make sure to follow us on every single social media, and I say that every time. The Threewind Sports, THREEWIND Sports, on literally every single social media, except for like Reddit.
Reddit's a weird.
Nah,
we can stay away from that.
But and then of course the podcast space, the Threewind Podcast. We're not Threewind Sports on the podcast space. We're the Threewind Podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks for watching.
Maybe we need a Reddit.
I was thinking
the Threewind.
The other day I was thinking about
what are they called?
Like the subreddit.
Yeah, we need a Threewind subreddit.
And I was also thinking about starting my Twitch back up under a new name.
Start streaming.
Start streaming games. Just as much out
Start streaming Zone Wars.
That might not be a good idea. That might not be a good idea.
Maybe not.
But yeah, that's episode 13, and we'll be back next week with more sports. And then the next week with more sports. And then you might be getting a little bit of a Christmas draft. We'll see you.